I've been in the kitchen, whipping up the grits, and I've been really cooking true. Cutting off the dead ends, warming up my blessings, cooking up the perfect soup. Cause God's been really speaking, and I've been really seeing how you're manifesting proof. I've been cooking up some blessings for me, cooking up some blessings for me.
Hi, and welcome to In the Kitchen with Halifax Public Libraries. I'm Nicole Johnson, one of the community specialists with the Preston Township. And we're here inspired by African Nova Scotian recipes. Yes, that's right, recipes, where we have some home-cooked chefs, right?
Right.
Good hearty meals.
Yes.
Easy recipes, because they're in your cookbook, so follow them. And so today, we have some of our very own local, again, cooks and their sons. We have Anthony Sparks and Jackson Sparks here to teach us how to do what recipe. What are we cooking today?
We are cooking a top sirloin steak. Very basic. We're just going to season it lightly with salt, a little bit of pepper. We have two portions here. This was one, so we cut it in half so that Jackson and myself can cook the steak simultaneously. We're having rice, which is already cooking, and it's going to be jasmine rice. We're going to have asparagus with it, sauteed mushrooms, and while we're cooking the steak, we're going to be basting it in rosemary with butter.
That sounds delicious. What kind of rice are we cooking?
It's jasmine rice. Right. So we used, instead of using water or coconut milk, we used chicken broth. It's 500 milliliters of chicken broth and half of that for rice. So it's 250 mils of rice. We incorporated both of those together and we brought it to a boil, or just almost to a boil, reduced the heat and covered it. And it takes about 15 minutes. We're about halfway done with this rice now. Okay. So we're gonna leave that. Keep it on low
heat,
and we're going to start with our, continue with our steaks.
And I do believe you put this on a timer, correct?
Yes, it's a 20-minute timer.
Okay.
So it probably has about 5 minutes left before we actually take it off the stove and let it rest for the remaining.
Okay.
Yeah. I know you're not supposed to take the cover off of rice, but I just wanted to make sure it doesn't get overdone.
Okay.
We have already prepared the asparagus. We just cut the ends so they're more tender when we are ready to eat them. So that's ready to go. Jackson cut the ends off, and he also cut up. I cut up the mushrooms. Jackson prepared the butter cubes and the rosemary.
Fresh rosemary.
Fresh rosemary.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So these top sirloin steaks are very thin. I'm going to cook them at a medium, which means that I'm gonna sear. I'm gonna make sure my pan is very hot. Sear about probably 2 minutes max on both sides, and then let it rest and let it finish just overcooking, and we should be at a medium at that point.
At a medium cook, okay. So what is a medium? What does that look like, though?
A medium is there's no red. It's more pink. So when you sear on each side, both sides should be evenly seared. So the pink should be throughout the course of the steak when you cut it, the thickness of it. And
these meats are not that fat.
No, they're not.
All right.
No, there's a little bit of marbling through it, but no, it's not a fatty steak.
Okay, good.
All right, so I need some oil. Jackson, you pass me the oil. We'll turn this on to. Always heat the pan first. That's one of the things that I was taught in the restaurants that I work in. Make sure that your pan is hot whenever you're searing first, and then put the oil in. The oil takes less than 30 seconds to heat up. And
you want to
then
make sure
we'll
that the base is covered, right?
Yes.
Okay.
We don't want to use too much oil, just probably enough, just a little less to cover the bottom of the pan, because there is fat in the steaks, and you don't want to be shallow frying it. You want to sear it so that it has a crust. And the reason why we sear it on high is so that it locks in the moisture on both sides of steak. So Jackson, you can put a little bit in yours. That's good. Yep. Yeah, we want to put a little bit in only because when the heat hits the oil, it'll expand.
Right.
So
okay.
We rather less than more.
So I know there's people who kind of smother their steaks in seasonings and herbs.
Yeah.
You don't need to do that on your first cook.
Well, I mean,
or do you? I mean,
it depends on the spice because some spice burns. I don't like to use pepper.
Right.
When I'm grilling or searing because pepper burns.
Right.
If you have a propane, if you're working with propane and you actually take a pepper and you push it and you just dust it over the flame, you will see that it actually burns.
Yeah.
So I like to just use salt.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we can season it more afterwards.
Okay.
Yeah.
For safety, always make sure that your handle is not in the way, so you don't hit it in the pan or fall over.
Excellent tip.
Good tip. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. So take your handle and just lay your steak in your pan.
Towards you.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't want the oil to come up and splash our face, so.
That's the sound that we're looking for right there, right?
They call it your pan is angry. You want your pan to be angry when you put your steak in on high sear.
Okay.
You can see there's a sear here. Okay, we want to lock all that nice juices in there.
That looks good. Jackson, you look good too.
Yep.
Nice coloring.
So you can see how on the side where it's cooking, almost halfway through.
So at what stage do we add the butter?
Yeah. So we will add butter.
Once that side is...
Yeah, just a little bit seared. We can even put the rosemary right on top, so we don't have flavor. And just keep on basting it here.
That's good. And that's where your flavorings coming in because you're browning your butter. You have the herb and the salt is still doing its thing.
Yeah.
Anthony, or Jackson, can you guys share as to why resting is important?
Resting is important because it will bring the steak up to a certain temp, and also when it's plated, the steak won't bleed on your plate into your starches or your vegetables that you have. Okay.
Sounds good to me. So I hear you guys using terminologies, knife behind, hot pan behind. Why is that good communication in the kitchen?
Would you explain that, Jackson, please?
Yeah, so it's good because there are a lot of knives are sharp.
Right. Yeah.
Hands are hot.
That's right.
And
common
they could burn
sense,
you
right?
So.
Yeah. So you just want to make sure that you're staying safe, healthy in the kitchen without burns, scrapes, or bruises. Yes. Good. Now what are we doing? Because I see some asparagus and some mushrooms.
Yeah. So
are we using some garlic as well?
Yeah, we were going to use that for the asparagus.
Okay.
Garlic with the asparagus.
Do you want me to chop some of it?
Sure.
Okay. Finally, I get to do something.
We have a routine or a pattern. Whenever we finish with our knives, we wipe them right away, so that we know that it's clean.
It's clean, absolutely. And those are good tips to have because then you know what is clean and what isn't clean.
Right. We're going to do the mushrooms the same way. We're going to turn up the heat.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You can turn up the heat to probably medium to high. Yeah, probably 7. Wait till the heat's up, and then we're going to put oil in, and oil and a little bit of butter.
Is this unsalted butter? What are we using today?
We can use salted butter. We just won't use a lot of butter while we're cooking.
Okay.
So I just put the asparagus in here on medium heat. I'm just going to turn it down, just so that the butter doesn't burn. We want the flavor of the butter, but we want the oil to help cook the asparagus.
So I would find sometimes canola oil or vegetable oil or even olive oil, they all have different smoke points.
Yeah. Olive oil has a lower smoke point.
Yeah.
So olive oil is used a lot more for salads.
Right.
Canola would be for
cooking.
Yeah. Not saying you can't, but because it has a lower smoke point, olive oil will tend to
Burn.
and it'll make your whatever you're cooking bitter.
So, so your cuts are a little thin because mushrooms tend to want to shrink when they're cooking.
Yes.
So I try to chunk mine, but then again, you know, you want good bite size.
Personal preference.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mushrooms that are cut thinner will cook faster, just like anything else.
Okay.
Yeah. So the steaks are resting, and as you can see, in the bottom here, we can see where it's
Smells good.
where some of the juices are
Running.
Yeah. Now that liquid is what I was talking about that you wouldn't want on your plate.
Right.
Yeah. So you let it rest.
Oh, and speaking of plates, you're gonna talk a little bit about plating, Anthony?
Yeah. Just make sure I flip them.
Oh, that's the color you're talking about.
Yeah. You can move them around in the pan like this as well, Jackson. Jackson will just, if you want to explain just what they look like.
Yeah,
and
so
why.
you just, you should keep them on one side for a little bit and let them sear so they turn to like a brownish color. Mm-hmm. And they should look like this.
They look beautiful. Ready to eat, I know that. Okay.
So I started plating. I'm starting to plate, and I put the rice in like a ramekin, just for a presentation. I put a little butter, or you can use Pam to kind of just spray it. And I'm gonna just turn it upside down.
Okay.
That over there.
Okay. Sure thing.
And you just pick it up and it'll
Nice.
make a cone
Nice.
shape there.
Nice.
I'm just gonna take a cutting board. This is part of our mise en place preparation that I could have done earlier, but I'm just gonna chop up a little bit of green onion, just for presentation purposes.
Garnish.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly
okay.
what it's for garnish. Thank you, Nicole.
You got the chef. Okay, so while Anthony's doing that, Jackson. So, is this one of your favorite dishes? Do you like steaks? Are you a meaty potato person?
Steak's
Okay.
probably like my top 3 favorite.
Top 3 favorite, okay. Okay. And would you prefer rice over the potatoes?
It usually depends.
It depends, okay. I'm a potato girl, but I will eat the rice today. Okay, good.
So what I'm gonna do over here is I'm just going to fan the steak. I'll just take one of them here.
Okay. In terms of cutting it?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm gonna cut it on its, I'm just gonna cut it on its angle. And as you can see, the steak is a medium.
Oh, that's lovely. It's nice.
There's no red, it's mostly pink throughout. So that is the result of just searing it on both sides about 2 minutes each, and then let it rest.
That looks delicious.
And there's the dish.
And there's the dish. Yes, so as you can see, we have done our medium seared steak with balsamic rice, some sauteed, melted and buttered asparagus, and some sauteed onions. So again, to your liking, to your preference, but that's your dish today. And high five on Team Sparks. And thank you for being in the kitchen with us today. We will see you again. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Nicole.
guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Oh, you deserve a high five too.
I've been in the kitchen, whipping up the grits, and I've been really cooking true. Cutting off the dead ends, warming up my blessings, cooking up the perfect soup. Cause God can really speaking, and I'm really seeing you're manifesting proof. I've been cooking up some blessings for me.